Today is the 17th day of Tammuz, the day that marks the beginning of the 3 weeks, the 21 days of mourning and remembering the destruction of our temples. The first temple destroyed by the Babylonians in the year 586 BCE, and the second temple destroyed by the Romans in the year 70 CE. And both today and in 3 weeks from now, Tisha B'Av, are days of national mourning for the Jewish people as we fast and recall our holy temples in Jerusalem. And the question is, we know that in Judaism we have periods of mourning for a loved one, 30 days, 7 days, a year. But how is it that the Jewish people are still able to mourn an event that occurred 2,000 or 2,500 years ago? How is it possible to still grieve over something that happened millennia ago? And the answer is found in the story of Jacob. When Father Jacob was bereft of his son Joseph, who the brothers had thrown into the pit and sold into slavery, and then the brothers took his coat of many colors, dipped it in goat's blood, and they came back to their father and they said, "We found his coat. A wild animal must have devoured him." And we know that Jacob loved his son Joseph so much, and the entire family tried to comfort him over the loss of his son. But the Torah says, "Vayima'en lehisnachem." He refused to be consoled. He was inconsolable. And Rashi says, why was he inconsolable? Why is it that for 22 years until he was reunited, he was never consoled and comforted over the loss of his son Joseph? And Rashi says that God created human nature in a way that when, God forbid, we suffer a loss, with time we could be comforted, we could be consoled. But that only occurs when the person really died. However, when the person is really alive, even if you think they're not alive, like in the case of Jacob, he was told his son died. But since in reality his son was alive, he was not able to be consoled. He kept on hoping to be reunited with his son until finally he was reunited. And that's why the Jewish people, like Jacob, refused to be consoled. For thousands of years, every year during this period of time, we mourn the destruction of the temple. But we're not just mourning something that was lost in the past. We're also hoping and praying for something that will be restored and given back to us with the coming of Mashiach and the rebuilding of the third temple. And that's why, like Jacob, we're inconsolable, and the grief and the mourning goes on from year to year. Because in reality, the temple exists. It's just that it is being denied to us until we're worthy of receiving it again. And every year during this period, we try to improve ourselves and increase our love and kindness and goodness and righteousness and connection to Hashem and Torah and mitzvahs and our fellow man and our fellow Jews, so that we will merit to be given back the Holy Temple. And like the Jewish people who've never lost hope and in our generation came back to Eretz Yisrael after the Holocaust, after thousands of years of persecution, because we never lost our hope. We knew that it will be given back to us, and we always said, L'shana haba, next year, Yerushalayim in Jerusalem again. This is why this period of time is not just tears and sadness over the past, but it's mingled with joy and optimism and hope for the future. As our hearts and our minds and our thoughts are with those in Miami who lost loved ones who are unaccounted for in the rubble, as Jews we stand together in prayer to God to help find as many of those victims as possible alive. We don't give up hope. Like Jacob, like the Jewish people, we hold on to faith and hope in God. And indeed, this morning from Israel, 2 teams arrived. United Hatzalah sent a team of trauma experts who deal with grieving people and helping them cope with tragedy to help the survivors. And at the same time, the IDF sent a team of IDF soldiers who deal with rescue missions to help the local Florida officials comb through the rubble looking for life. And just this morning I saw a very moving interview where the head of the unit of the IDF soldiers, a man in a proud IDF uniform with a kippah on his head, was being interviewed by the news. And they said, "What did you come here to do?" And he said, "We came to find life. We're the same team that had gone to Haiti. And we found people days later alive that we pulled out of the rubble. And therefore we're going to find people. We're here to try to find life." And the reporter said, "Are you saying that there's still hope?" And with a smile and his kippah on his head and his IDF patch on his arm, he said, "Of course, there's always hope. And now we have to get to work." That's the story of the Jewish people. We never give up hope. And that's why today we fast and we mourn the destruction of the temple, because we're not just looking back, but we're looking forward, and we're saying, what can we do to be more deserving, better people, better Jews, more worthy, so God will grant us the third and final temple with the coming of Mashiach. Let us continue to pray for our fellow Floridians and fellow Jews in Miami, and let us hope and pray that we will see great miracles.